Now we're going to talk Manchester United, who were beaten 2-1 at Brighton. João Pedro's added-time goal, making it 2 wins out of 2 for their new boss, Fabian Hürzeler. Let's talk Manchester United then, Darren, because Erik ten Hag admitted that the result was disappointing. He said after that they needed to play more as a team, you know, defensively and up front. He felt he had issues at both ends. Did you feel that they deserved a point from that game?
Yeah, I did actually. I think they played very well. They were very unfortunate not to have that goal awarded to them. Joshua Zirkzee, so unfortunate because you could see what he was trying to do, but the ball hadn't crossed the line by the time it made contact with his knee. But overall, the play was not too bad. I know there are people who are critical of certain elements of it. You've got to look at Harry Maguire there, allowing the ball to elude him in the 6-yard box. But the finish here, the run and the finish here from Ahmad, outstanding. You can see why he is so highly thought of both by the club and by their fans as well. And as I say, overall, they played very well and the confidence started to grow once Ahmad had scored. This is a disallowed goal. And if that goes in, it's a different game altogether because you could see the confidence being restored to a group of players that had an underwhelming campaign last season, even though they ended it with the FA Cup. But then that gets disallowed and Brighton get their foothold back into the game. And this goal, there's so much to talk about with this goal because when it comes in, look how many players are on the back post. And that's the interesting thing about the defending. Casemiro, in particular, he started the season well, but he's running out while Brighton players are running in. And the fact that they have 3 players on that back stick able to take advantage of the ball back into the box, that's one of many things I would imagine Ten Hag will look at in the wake of this match.
And they also might want to take a look at how they're conceding very late goals because that's not the first time that's happened. We can take a look at it because they've lost more Premier League games thanks to goals scored in the 90th minute and beyond than any other side. That's not a great stat. That's since 2022-23. It's not a great stat. It's something that they need to get to grips with because it kind of alludes to the fact that either the players are kind of like switching off towards the end of the game. I mean, they needn't have switched off in that game, as Darren was saying, because they were doing well in it.
Look, I think United is still a side under transition with Erik ten Hag. They're not the finished article. They've got a terrible record against Brighton. I think under Ten Hag, they've lost 4 out of 5 games. A couple of years ago at the Amex, they were humiliated, really, 4-0. So they are getting better. It's taking time. I thought what really changed the game yesterday was the substitutions. Late on, Ten Hag, I think, took off Harry Maguire, took off Bruno Fernandes. Brighton substitutions, you know, they brought on some really exciting players. They brought on a forward they'd paid £40 million for. So I think one of the reasons why United are conceding all these late goals is the fact that sides are now allowed to make 5 substitutions. And people aren't scared of United anymore. If they are there to be beaten, if it's a close game, I think other head coaches and managers are making changes, using their bench, and we're seeing Premier League squads are getting better and better the whole time. So long gone are the days when United could just have it their own way, no matter who they were playing.
Just a final word on United. You know, prior to the season opener, Ten Hag came out and said, we're not ready. And then he sort of rode back on that and said, oh, actually, we are ready. And did that show you that they are not quite ready? Do you still feel there's a lot of tweaking to do for him?
Yeah, it does in some respects. The fascinating thing about this whole we're not ready thing, you look at Brighton. Brighton have won, I think, their opening game in their last 4 seasons. They're always ready. You know, they're always switched on. They're always... And this, as you were saying, this league now, it's the toughest league in the world. It's a league of fine margins. It's a league where the difference between success and failure is now becoming smaller and smaller. So if you've got someone saying, we're not ready, well, why? Yeah, that, it would beg that question, wouldn't it? Because Brighton has spent over £140 million on players from 5 different leagues. They've all come in, and under a very young manager with very little experience in this league, they've managed to start ready to run for their lives. They're very sharp, they're very switched on. They've got 2 wins now in their first 2 matches. So it's a justifiable question. Why is that not the case with Man United? Now, I don't want to be too critical of them because, as I say, they were very good, and I think they were very unlucky as well, and I think they'll get better. But it is quite interesting, the difference between the two.
United look like a good cup side. They look like a side who, on the day, can beat anyone.
Yes.
But there is still, a big sort of gulf between them and Manchester City, them and Liverpool, them and Arsenal. Yeah, over a whole course of a season, you can't really see United winning the title. It's going to be difficult even for them to finish in the top four. But I think on their day, they can beat anyone.
I agree.
What about Fabian Herzler then? 31 years of age and ripping it up, dare I say. I mean, I know it's only 2 games in, but, that was potentially a big gamble for Brighton because, as Darren said, this is a manager who's not got any experience in the Premier League at all, and yet he's come in. Brighton take a risk. Dare I say, would anyone else have done such a thing? They're quite forward-thinking, aren't they, Brighton?
I don't think any other Premier League side would have appointed him. Maybe Brentford, for instance.
Yeah.
But it shows you how well Brighton are run because the structure there is so good that no matter who they appoint seems to do a good job. Graham Potter, De Zerbi, and he's come in and he's really refreshing as well, the way he conducts himself in interviews. He talks so well. He's such a good communicator. He doesn't seem to get too carried away when, Brighton win, even when they scored that late goal.
Yeah.
He didn't get too carried away. He takes everything in his stride. And I think it just shows you how well run Brighton are and the fact that not when it just comes to recruiting players, but also when it comes to recruiting head coaches, their database and all the sort of computer programs that they use must be phenomenal.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, they are.
Yeah. What are the papers saying about this game?
Oh, well, Sam Wallace has done a terrific piece in the Telegraph today saying that Ten Hag has decisions to make about personnel and how he is going to... In fact, what I want to do with this one, I don't know if you can see the whole thing. Look at the bottom as well, because Sam also talks about the fact that the players, Ten Hag has been telling the players to read the game, settle them for a point, manage the game better. In stark contrast to Arsenal, for example. Once they went 2-0 up, that was it. They know how to manage the game. United don't. And the word collapse in the headline of Sam's piece is quite telling. There are big decisions to make over who to play in that defence, given that they've acquired De Ligt. And given that Maguire yesterday, I don't want to pick on individuals because it's not quite fair, but obviously that ball across the box for the first goal, it was so easy to send across and it was so easy to dispatch. And there are questions also around the number 9 as well, because although they can score goals, they don't have anyone with the consistency of the bigger teams. And that's something that they may have to look at before the end of the window. But certainly a good piece by Sam Wallace in the Telegraph today.